Hello, all loyal fans. This is Complacent Badger, and I'm with.
Zero Kilo, greetings.
Yes, it's been a while,
Quite a very long time.
but we are back with Season 2 of the Broken Teeth and Bloody Turf League.
I'm pretty excited for it. We have quite a few new members, a lot of new teams, and a few old favorites.
Yep, some of the teams aren't returning. The coaches are returning, all except for, I believe, our good friend Anthony. He will not be back. He was flying coconuts, the coach, last season.
Yep, it'll be missed, but we managed to fill out a roster that looks pretty powerful.
Yep, though we only have, I think, about 5 returning teams. We have all 7 of the mentioned coaches returning, and we actually got 5 new coaches.
Yeah, pretty excited to play against some of these new people. So, as far as I understand, not all of them have played or have a lot of experience in Blood Bowl, correct?
Yeah, I believe most of them have not played Blood Bowl of the new players. A lot of brand new coaches with a lot of aspirations.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting how that balances against some of the more experienced teams that already have a bit of experience as coaches as well.
Yep. And one thing that'll change for this season is that I will not have a team.
That's right. You felt that being the manager was a role in and of itself, huh?
Yeah, between doing the videos and I want to do a better job with these, and basically having so many teams and so many replays that we're going to be doing, and all the editing involved, on top of some issues with the initial setup of the season, I felt it was best.
Right. I mean, it's when making a Blood Bowl league, it's finding that balance of players is one of those important things, right?
Yeah.
Try to always end on an even person, so we kept getting more and more people one at a time, and still managing an odd number of coaches.
Yeah, it happens. All right, so for the teams and coaches themselves, go in. My list is showing the Snarl 2 Smashes first. Is you showing the same thing?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, so the returning champs.
Yeah.
They.
That'll be impressive to see.
Yeah, they're back. That treasury's looking pretty stout from last season's win.
Yeah, and a lot of old favorite players. So playing the Orc team, yeah.
Looks like Moglop is back, and he's looking stronger than ever.
That's true. That's true. Level 4, we got 2 level 4 players on there, still carrying some injuries, so that'll be interesting to see what he does once you have a fairly mature team.
Yes. It's looking like he still does not have a troll. I don't know if that's by choice or if he's just waiting. We'll see going into the first game if he's going to change his team at all.
Right. Number 11 slot is open, and players are available, so he definitely has the money to make some purchases.
Yep. As we said before, he was the winner of last season, so we'll see if he can just get better and defend that title.
Right.
Next team we have is the Sunday Speedwalkers, Ducky Shoes. This was the runner-up for last season.
Right. What a great team when you watch the advancement in the skill level with this team is pretty interesting. So it's the exact opposite of how the Orcs play.
Yes.
Definitely a fancier, flourishy team instead of the get in and grind.
Yeah. It looks like her star thrower, Chesda, is actually going to be missing for the first game due to injuries.
Right, and that's one of those things that I almost forgot happens, that the carryover from the last season doesn't just affect the statistics, but the actual conditions that the players have. So even though this is a totally new season, it's still just the next game.
Yep. The rest of the team looking pretty alright. Got War Dancers leveling up. She got later on in the season, and it looks like the catcher, level 3, that's Glamar, doing fairly well as.
Right. And I expect to see a lot of level 3s gained early in the season.
Yes. A lot of high star player points just right on the cusp of getting to that level 3.
Right, and against some of these newer players who aren't going to be as familiar with caging tactics and the advanced cage with
Mhm.
for the high agility teams, I think that she could be putting up some big numbers, and with those war dancers hitting pretty hard too.
Yeah, she'll have to teach these newbies how to play.
Yeah,
All right.
after she plays them, I
Exactly.
think.
The next one is Hustler 1 returning, but he's retired his Chaos team and has brought us a human team, Tasty Action.
I'm excited to see it. It's the probably the most basic user-friendly team, but they have so much variety in how you can advance them.
Yeah.
So the second half of the season is really going to be important for these guys, and the decisions that he makes with level 1 and level 2, who he grooms these players into early is going to make a big difference on his success or lack thereof in later in the season.
Yes, Season 1 was his first experience with Blood Bowl, coming back with a new, fresh team and a different outlook on the game. He should do very well, and Nuffle will smile on him now that he's named all of his characters.
Right, that was just a thing, right?
Mm-hmm. So we'll see how this going. He's picked Ogre and 4 Blitzers. It's a pretty good, strong start, and he's also got that thrower.
Right, and that's the way to kind of start this team is have that mid-level agility. Plus, you still got he's not strong enough to really stand toe to toe with some of the basher teams, and he's not agile enough to really out throw and outmaneuver the agility teams. But it's definitely a different play style for him, and I'm really excited to see what he can do with these guys.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. We'll just have to see how he earns his star player points and how he spends it.
Awesome.
The next team is the Reawoken.
I like it. Well played.
Yes, it's a necromantic team. We have a new coach here. The the necromantic team is one of the first teams that I played pretty much all the way through. It was the first team that I had level 7s, so I'm pretty familiar with this team.
Right. So how do you feel about the team in general? Because this is the first time that we've seen him in the league.
Yes, I think overall a necromantic team is pretty good. Of the undead teams, I think they're probably the most agility happy.
Right.
They have a lot of characters. The werewolves can focus as blitzers or as runners or a combination. I really do like flesh golems, though they're not the best around. They're pretty good at holding. They come standard with stand firm.
Right.
So they're hard to push around. It's a really weird ability to start with, and a lot of people aren't ready for it. So especially against teams like the the teams that are going to really enjoy that stand firm is going to be the Crazy Eights, the Corn Demons. That frenzy, they're not going to push themselves into a bad situation.
Right, and that'll be a lot of these extra abilities in new teams that all the coaches are familiar with make the first couple games extra spicy, and you'll see a lot of what we're going to call lapses of judgment. What we really mean is didn't see that coming or didn't effectively scout my opponent.
Exactly. He's got a pretty even team. He's running 3 rerolls, and he's running only 11 players with, what is that, 5 of them being zombies?
That's what I'm counting. It's a
Yeah,
good way to go, but he's got regeneration all around except the ghouls, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that's how it is, and it's going to be a little tough for him to start out. He's going to have to make sure that he uses the ghouls and the werewolves correctly to score, because he's not going to be able to take too many hits. He's got a relatively lower armor value team than a lot of the other teams.
Excited to see this team play and play against a new coach as well.
Yep, very interesting. The next team that we have is This Isn't Hockey. Uh, this is an Amazon team, so we haven't seen an Amazon team in this league.
Right, and they are fun. They're fun to watch.
Yes, for more reasons than one, I suppose.
Right. I
Uh,
mean, they're fun to play against too, I suppose.
yeah, 2 rerolls, starting a little low in the reroll section, but not everybody needs as much as I do.
Right, all of them.
Yes, but he did start with 4 blitzers, which I really like.
Yeah, it's going to make that strong line, the block dodge combo is great.
Yeah, really hard to take these girls down. Two throwers, two catchers is going to be pretty strong in the offensive side, and a couple line women just to fill the roster.
Right. My only concern with two catchers and two throwers is I like the idea and the intention of this, but it seems like one of the throwers is almost going to be useless toward the end. You know, you always see the star player points going in favor of one person, maybe one thrower and one catcher, or you see that lopsidedness when you get into the throwing. Somebody always becomes the favorite.
Yeah, and that's probably going to be true. The devil's advocate of that is armor value 7. You can't always rely on having your star player be there for the next game, so having a kind of a backup, even if they're not as good, it's always good.
No, and I absolutely agree with that. So being cognizant of that and having a second person, if that's going to be your game plan, is to have a throw team. Then you need to make sure that you can enact your game plan, because this is really a game of will. You just need your opponent to play your game where you can win.
Yep. Amazons are a fairly forgiving team because of dodge, so when it comes to misclicks or just trying to do some hoopty dodges, they can get there, and even though their armor value is 7, they don't go down quite as often as other teams.
Right.
Now, for our next team, we have Sambon 07 with Malaz Mashers. A Chaos team. So we're used to Chaos, but this is a new coach and a new way of playing.
Right. I love watching these guys play. They are just all that horns.
Yes, I really do love the Chaos team. I think they're probably one of the most deadly teams that you could build, just because they can get mutations, they can all get strength easily. It's a very scary team to go up against when it's leveled.
Right. And I like their team motto as well.
Yes. Knuckle will smile on Samvon07 because he has not only got a strong motto in there, but has named all of his players.
Excellent choice. And he has a very well balanced starting team.
Yep, 4 Chaos Warriors and 7 Beastmen, is that?
Yep, 3 rerolls and team value right on the nose at 1,000. So.
Yep, a little low on the rerolls for my taste, but we all know how that goes. But I think very balanced, like you said. I think this is a good choice, and he's done his research.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say. Doing a little bit of research makes the starting point of the team a little less nerve-wracking for any player.
Definitely. Next up, we have the Nordic Kneecappers, some guy named Sierra Kilo.
That guy, you still let him in?
Yeah. One of the returning favorites.
Well, at least it's my favorite.
Yeah. 4 rerolls, 1 apothecary, 4 cheerleaders, 2 assistant coaches, and looks like you have 2 level 4 characters.
Yes, and one of them is going to die, and it's going to make me cry.
Yes, is that armor value 6 is pretty tough.
Yeah, yeah.
But
he's by far my favorite. Nordic Sun.
Yes, each of the Nordic Sun I assume is your favorite, but this one in particular.
That one in particular.
He is just a lineman, so he's probably not carrying his weight anyways based on his level, but if he dies, he dies.
Right, and that was one of the things that I found pretty quickly last season was there reaches a certain point, and it's bad to have them level up anymore because all it does is up your team value, and I don't really know where to put any of these guys anymore. So having the level 6 available to me is, I might run a little fast and loose with some level 4 characters just to keep the team value appropriate and maybe even try out a couple different builds on some of these linemen.
Yeah, and the team value difference is going to be a huge aspect of this season. We have new teams and we have returning teams, so unless you want Halfling Master Chefs being thrown at you and Bloodwiser Babes all over the place, you're going to have to be careful with your team value.
Right, and that's the other part of that is we're going to probably see a lot more buys because that's the way that the game offsets that team value. All this experience that I have in my team, see some wizards, see some explosions, you know what I mean? All those little perks and buffs and benefits are gonna be really important,
Yes. It's going to be interesting to see, and people are going to have to manage their team values appropriately.
right?
So next up, we have a returning team, Axon Jackson, with his Crazy Eights.
Crazy Eights, those crazy kids.
Yes. I believe, unless I'm mistaken, his... No, Bloodthirster's right there. I was like, where did his Bloodthirster go?
Yeah.
Alright, so...
No big deal.
He's got 11 players, but 1 injured, so he's going to be getting a mercenary in the first game this season.
Right? That's and of course we all know that your mercenary is going to get all of your star player points and get MVP for both teams, and just not show up ever again. So.
Yep, it's real nice. And unfortunately, he doesn't have any treasury, just in case that it does get all those star player points. He can't even pick them up.
Right. Not only does he, I mean, it's not just that he doesn't have money in the treasury. He has 0 treasury. Like he doesn't even have a treasury.
Yeah, it's
so poor.
Exactly.
But he has 8 assistant coaches, so
all
that going.
All the assistant coaches and cheerleaders, but it's 8. It's the number of corns, so I see where he's going with it. He's ensuring that he has corn on his side.
I'm 100% sure that was purposeful as well.
Yep. So a good returning team. The coach has learned a lot from the last season. This is going to be the second season that he's using this team, and he's going to be starting from the get-go with a Bloodthirster. So we should see him in the higher rankings throughout the entire season.
Just death everywhere.
It's going to be bad. All right. Next is Tether Grain with the Nonpareil Elites. A high elf team, getting those elves in force.
Yeah. Well, that's, once you get into this number of coaches, you're going to have that because there are, dark elves, wood elves, regular elves, and high elves, right? Or did I say high elves twice?
Nope, you got it right.
Yeah. So you got 4 choices of elf teams that all are slightly different builds. So even when you get in there, they're going to be different. So it's not going to be watching the same team every time, and the way that the coach builds and plays is gonna be different too. So every elf team plays differently, and it'll be interesting to see how each coach manages that.
Yeah, most definitely. This is interesting though. His team, the High Elves, are generally considered a passing team, and he has no thrower.
Right, but he does have a catcher, so that makes up for it.
Yeah, agility 4. I think the thrower only gives the benefit of pass, so it's just a reroll. Any agility 4 player can easily be a thrower.
Right.
So we'll see. It may have been the difference between getting that apothecary or reroll and making sure that he gets the 2 blitzers. We'll see where he goes with this. He may try to do a running game instead.
I don't see why that's not a very valid option.
Yep, the High Elves are once again agility 4, so running game is not a bad decision.
Yep, good stuff.
Yep, we'll see how he goes.
I like it.
Next up is Diego the Dark with The Hills Have the Ball. Not only does Nuffle smile on Diego the Dark, I also smile because this might be one of my favorite team names, and he has named all of his players excellent horror movie names. Except for the Snotlings, which are just ways to get murdered.
Right, that's true.
Because
they're not gonna last long enough to remember their names.
Exactly. That's just what he's proposing is going to happen to them.
Yeah. So this is for real a difficult team to start with and a difficult team to play because it has such a very limited playing style. But it's very interesting and very fun as long as you have the sense of humor to allow this kind of team do what it does.
Exactly. And it's one of those things that I've always said and explained that ogres are not a very good team. But then you line up against them and you can't help but sweat the entire game because it is a strength 5 team.
Yeah.
And it's horrifying to be lined up against them.
Yeah, and specifically because of the returning coaches who have high value players.
Yes.
One swing is the end of a player.
Yep.
I mean, at any time you stay next to that guy 1 turn longer than necessary, and you will pay for it. And I think that this is a fun team to add to the mix because it's very punishing.
Yeah, the Mighty Blow is definitely going to make sure that a lot of these returning star players are going to be put down and maybe not come back the next game, may not even come back next season.
Yep. Good addition to the mix.
Yeah, interesting choice. He did the 5 ogres to start with, and then an additional 7 snotlings.
Right. That's a.
Oh no, I'm sorry. He did not have 3, so it's actually 5 ogres and 6 snotlings. He's at exactly 11 players. He's going to be a little weak because of the lack of players. He's going to lose snotlings probably very quickly, so he's going to rely a lot more on those ogres. And with only 2 rerolls, this game is going to be very dependent on how well he rolls really stupid.
Exactly, and it's a good opportunity for some of the newer players to get some star player points by getting rid of those snotlings first, and then watching the bonehead extravaganza of the ogres.
Yeah, and I misspoke. Not really stupid. You had it right. It's bonehead for ogres.
I was call you out on it. Right?
It'll be interesting to see what he does with this team.
I like it. I hope that he's practicing a little bit.
Yep. Another new coach, Gimpy, with Stalking Dead.
I like it. Undead team.
Yes, Undead. He talked to me beforehand when I asked him what he was going to do, and he said, well, I've never played Blood Bowl before, and up until you really mentioned it to me, I'd never seen it. So he did a bunch of research and found that from the forums and sites that he looked at, that Undead were the more forgiving teams for beginners.
Yeah, that regeneration makes a big difference.
Yep, and it looks like he's got a pretty similar team to the Necromantic team, minus the obviously the players that aren't available.
Right.
And
but
then
the same idea.
He's got both his whites and 3 ghouls, and I think they're actually able to take 4 whites. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check. But
I think you're correct.
But the only issue that I see with this team right now, he does have the 5 rerolls, so he's taking a page out of my book, getting those rerolls when they're super cheap, and kind of suffering a little bit on the team in the meantime. With 11 players, he's going to suffer a little bit from being outnumbered, and on top of that, he's suffering because he doesn't have any of his mummies.
Right.
But
well, that'll come pretty quickly.
Yep, and for the change of the rerolls at half price, once again, I think that's totally worth it to have a struggle a little bit in the first. Just try to pull ties in the first couple games.
Right. So it's two whites.
Oh, so he does have max whites.
Yep. So the
ghouls are 0-4.
The ghouls are 4. Yep.
Cool.
Correct for the undead, but the necromantic team are 2 and 2. So.
Okay.
So that's the difference.
Yep, and so the ghouls are going to be good for catching and running and whatnot, and even if he builds it for pass block and whatnot.
Good stuff.
We have, as the last, but definitely not least, Master Moose and the Corsairs. Got that elf team. So last season, myself and Master Moose, because we've been playing Blood Bowl for years, we decided that we were going to use teams that weren't considered the high-end teams that anybody could use. We kind of handicapped ourselves a little bit. Him using vampires, myself using goblins.
Right.
So this season, I've kind of let loose the reins and said, do what you will, play what you want. And while we were playing the season, he was playing a single-player campaign with the elves and fell in love with them.
Yeah.
So he's going to try to replicate what his season was when he was playing single-player.
I know. So what are the difference between the elves and the high elves?
I believe, and I could be mistaken because I'm not too keen on elves, but I believe that the elf team, the one that he is playing, are slightly more skilled up characters to begin with.
Yeah,
but
characters have catch and nerves of steel.
Yeah, but they suffer from a reduced armor value compared to high elves.
Right.
The high elves are generally an 8 armor value across the board, while only the blitzers in the elf team are armor value 8.
Good stuff.
But like I said, they have better starting skills, as you can see by the blitzer. The catchers actually, once you were saying, start with catch and nerves of steel, which is a very interesting combination that, from what he's told me, has worked very well for him, especially how he builds.
Yeah. So putting those guys in tackle zones doesn't give them -1. Right? Is that what that is?
I believe for Nerves of Steel, let me double check. Yeah, exactly. For pass catching or intercepting, Nerves of Steel prevents the negative modifiers.
So he's just going to sit in the middle of everybody and catch.
Yep.
I like it.
It's going to be interesting to see what he does, and as we saw with his vampires, very slippery player on really cutting the corners and doing dodges at the best spots.
Right.
So we'll see what he can do with an entire Agility 4 team.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting, and let's see what people do to counteract that. You know, if you get interceptions and stuff, position your players a little bit better. He might not see the lines, and I say that knowing full well that he sees everything. But,
Yeah.
being cognizant of those kind of things, the ways to impact a player that has that ability. So what is the defense against it? We'll see what people come up with.
He's got armor value 7, so the best defense is a good offense in that case.
Yep.
All right, so for the matchups, we decided that as a group that we're going to do double round robin in 2 divisions. So 6 coaches in each division.
So how did everybody get lumped in together?
Well, I went through a pretty simple process of letting it randomize it initially. Then I compared the 2 divisions on team values, swapped them around to make it within 10 team value within the 2 divisions. And then after that, determined based on what my personal opinion on the coaches, on certain criteria. Were they returning coaches? Were they returning teams? How long have they been playing Blood Bowl? And how I personally think that how good they are at Blood Bowl. So I tried to make it as fair as possible between the 2 divisions without anybody getting too terribly outclassed.
Oh yeah, well, the people who feel outclassed are already talking on the forums there. So we'll see what comes of it. But I think that you did a great job the way that I'm looking at it. I think that there's a lot of strength in both groups. There's not going to be any runaway leaders unless somebody kind of gives in toward the middle and stops giving all their attention. And thanks for taking a step back and staying the commissioner and making sure that it's as fair and balanced as Fox News.
Yeah, I hope it's not that fair and balanced.
No, I think you did a hell of a job.
All right, we'll have to see. We'll see if everybody, and especially you, because you're in what I would consider the harder division. We'll see if you all still are singing that praise.
Well, I just want you to know that if I wasn't in it, it wouldn't be the harder division.
That's probably true. So for Group 1, the first matchups are going to be the Snarl 2 Smashes versus Tasty Action.
Right. 2 returning
coaches. 2 returning coaches, and these 2 are brothers, and it is not a returning team for Hustler 1. So I have to give it to Master Egg just because I think the difference in team value is going to make it, and this is a new team for him unless he's been really practicing heavily with humans. I think he's going to have a tough time keeping up with the Orc's ability to hit.
Right, and just, we remember looking at the human team, and he's set up with the ability to throw. So let's see if he uses that as a primary strategy. Oftentimes, when you play against a hit team, you play a pass game or an agility game, and it's quite the opposite. So let's see who gets the better end of the dice.
Yep, I'm putting 70-30 in favor of Master Egg.
I'm with that, but I would like to see some explosions from Wizards.
Yes, Hustler 1 will be getting a lot of inducements, so let's see if he can murder Moglop.
I like it. I mean, that's exactly what those are for, and it changes that game. So the Wizards have the 2 options, the Fireball and the Lightning Strike.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see if he gets the Wizard and if in which ability he chooses to use, and see who he can kill.
Yep, and the Halfling Master Chefs, which a lot of the new teams are going to be getting if they're playing against returning teams. The Halfling Master Chefs could really change it, stripping people away from those rerolls.
Right, the option is to, well, the best case scenario is to take 3 rerolls from your opponents and give you 3 rerolls instead.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a game changer.
Most definitely. The next one is the Sunday Speedwalkers versus Woo Kiddin'.
Yep. So that's the That's the undead team, or is that the necro?
That's the necromantic team.
That's the necromantic team.
Yep.
I'll figure this out shortly, I promise.
Remember, Rio Wookin has a wolf in it.
Right. See, I didn't get that. I just was like, hey, it's witty because they're reawoken, and
Yeah.
then it's two funny things, and I can only focus on one at a time.
Yeah, I understand.
Right.
For this one, this is actually a pretty choice game for Jester TG. This is because his team is going to suffer a little bit from getting beat up on, but I don't think Ducky Shoes is going to be focusing on beating him up too much.
Right. It'll be probably a lucky first game. Don't know if he's gonna be able to win it with the experience that he has, and Ducky Shoes has the experience from last season. But it should not be detrimental to the rest of the season. It won't be a game, a league-changing game.
I really do think that because he has so many zombies, that Ducky Shoes is going to run circles around him. So I'm actually going to give this one 80-20 to Ducky Shoes, just because she is going to control this. She's going to control the entire map, and with her best player being injured, the team value difference is not going to be so huge that he's going to get massive inducements. He will get it at minimum, probably halfling master steps if he wants them, but she's not a huge reroll user to begin with, so that's not going to destroy her.
Right. So I think that the best thing for him to do is to play his game on offense, focus on moving the ball as best as he can, and what's going to happen on defense for him is what's going to happen on defense for him.
Exactly.
So get some star player points, hit when able, keep moving the ball, and know that this is probably going to be a frustrating score difference right away, but it gets better when he gets more evenly matched with teams.
Exactly. And then for the last match of Group 1, we have This Isn't Hockey, coached by Aries 1020, and Malel's Master, coached by Sampon 07. I'm completely... I don't know how either of them have played. I haven't played any pickup games with them. I've never seen them play. So it's going to come down to what I believe the teams are. And just because that's how Amazons are, I think This Isn't Hockey is going to have a 60-40 over Malel's Masters.
I'm gonna go the other way on you.
Okay.
I think that, and I'll tell you why. I think that those the Chaos Warriors are gonna be kind of tough to get around, and the Beastmen with the horns are a little bit scary. So we'll see if just the presence of the Beastmen and the possibility of getting hit with the horns is gonna make any difference.
Yeah, I think with the combination of dodge and none of Malel's Masters, because they're brand new, none of them having block, I think it's going to be tough for the beating team to actually put down the Amazons. So the Amazons are going to get to do basically whatever they want, while Malel's Masters are going to be kind of just standing around hoping that they can put somebody down.
Yep, but he's got enough players there to if you throw enough dice at people, they go down. So
I definitely agree.
Okay, good match.
Yes. All right. So for Group 2, we have the Corsairs, coached by Master Moose, against the Nordic Kneecappers, Sierra Kilo.
Oh yeah.
This is going to be a big game.
I think so.
Well, obviously, the first game in the season, and these are two of probably the best teams in the league.
Right. And it's going to be, I think that this game will set the tone for the rest of the season, because we've got enough agility teams, and we've got enough kind of mashy teams. And let's see if this might be how we determine which team is going to come out on top.
Yep. For this one, I'm probably going to give it to you 60-40, just because you have a higher leveled up team. But I don't want to count Master Moose out, just because he's, agility 4, he can do a lot. The one thing that gives it to you over him is that he does not have dodge.
Yeah, and I think that his team this is a really good opportunity for me to put what I consider one of the best strategists in the league at a disadvantage for the rest of the season. If I could just keep punching and still effectively move the ball and keep him from doing that to me.
Yep, I agree 100%. For the next one, we have Axon Jackson 85 coaching the Crazy Eights against Gimpy and the Stalking Dead. This is a tough matchup. Crazy Eights, I really think, are just going to use the Stalking Dead as weapons against one another. They're just going to be clubbing them to death with other dead bodies.
Yeah.
It's all the Stalking Dead can do is attempt to just put zombies in the front to get hit and try to score.
Right.
As long as the Crazy Eights make mistakes, he has a chance. But between a leveled team, experience with the team, and an experienced coach, I'm probably going to give it 80-20 to Action Jackson.
I'm going to agree with that as well. I think that it's going to be an effective use of the incentives. Using your money effectively and trying to put a hurt when you can, and know that sometimes you can't. So don't get in a fight if you can't win it, and try to move the ball.
Yep, and I think the only thing that Stalking Dead is going to have to advantage is if they get Halfling Master Chefs and put him in a situation where if he throws dice, he's taking a risk because of frenzy.
Right.
You need to make sure that you've got support behind as many people as you can get, especially when that Bloodthirster comes rolling around.
Right, and that's going to be a big difference, is the ability of the newer coaches to read tackle zones and effectively manage the players.
Yep. It's not completely impossible for him to win, but it'll be probably one of the worst uphill battles of the first matchups.
Agreed.
For the last match of Group 2, we have Diego the Dark's coaching the Hills Have the Ball, and Tether Grain with the Nonpareil Elites. So this is the second, I believe, the 2 of 2 of the new teams against one another.
Right.
So this one, I know Diego the Dark has actually played a lot of Blood Bowl. He's in previous leagues that I have done. So, but he's using ogres.
Right. That's exactly what it comes down to.
He's a skilled coach, and he knows how to play ogres, but it's also a elf team, or should I say high elf specifically.
Right.
I think I'm going to go tentatively 60-40 for Diego the Dark, only because of his skill. I have not seen Tether Grain actually play, so I don't know how highly skilled he is. I think even if he has a moderate level of skill, he'll be able to outpass and outmaneuver the ogres.
Right. But strength 3 on the elves.
Yeah, versus strength 5. So you're going to look at, mostly it's going to be 2 die tackles against everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my favorite kind of tackle.
Exactly. All right, so that's going to be the league this season. Do you got anything that you want to add to this?
No, I'm good and ready, and we'll see how efficient we are about getting matches played and videos produced.
Yep, this season we should, I'm leaning towards doing, instead of the full games during the season, we're going to be doing highlight reels where we just take the best portions of each game and we will commentate on those best plays.
I like that.
Yeah. It should be easier on the viewers and also easier on us that we don't necessarily have to commentate every single video.
Yes. Good plan.
Yep, we'll see how it works. It's going to be all based on my editing capability, which is almost non-existent. So
I'd say it's limited. It's limited. It's different.
All right. Well, we will be back with the Week 1 highlights. And until then, this is Complacent Badger.
And Syracuse.
And we will see you on the side. Keep playing Blood Bowl, guys.
Later.